The Board Up Zach. In the upcoming chapter, it was a quiet night in Sacramento, California, when the first chilling whispers of terror began to spread through the community. A shadowy figure moved silently under the cover of darkness, leaving behind a trail of unspeakable acts that would haunt the state for decades. Imagine this: a predator who struck not once, not twice, but over and over again, leaving victims traumatized and authorities baffled. This wasn't just any criminal, this was someone who seemed to vanish into thin air after each attack, leaving no trace except for fragments of fear scattered across multiple cities. Before I dive in, tell me, where are you watching from and what time is it there for you? I love knowing who's out there with me and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, I want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for me to get to know you better and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So go ahead, drop a comment below and let me know where you are today. I'm all ears. The year was 1976 when the first reports emerged of a brutal intruder breaking into homes during the dead of night. The East Area Rapist, as he came to be known, targeted women in their own beds, using violence and intimidation to silence them. Over the next decade, his crimes escalated beyond sexual assaults to include cold-blooded murder. By the early 1980s, he had expanded his territory, moving south to Orange County and leaving a trail of death and destruction in his wake. For years, law enforcement struggled to piece together the puzzle of who or what this monster could be. In the small town of Rancho Cordova, nestled near Sacramento, residents lived in constant dread. Families bolted their doors shut, installed security systems, and avoided walking alone after sunset. Yet nothing stopped the predator from striking again and again. Each crime left investigators scratching their heads, searching for connections between seemingly unrelated cases. Was this one man or an organized group? And why did he always manage to slip through the cracks? As we fast forward to the early 2000s, the case remained wide open, frustrating detectives and tormenting families still seeking closure. Forensic psychologist Emily Carter found herself drawn to the mystery after uncovering long-forgotten letters written by survivors recounting their harrowing experiences. She pored over these documents late into the night, her mind racing with questions. How could someone commit such heinous acts repeatedly without being caught? What drove this person to prey on innocent lives so mercilessly? By 2005, advancements in forensic technology offered new hope for solving the decades-old mystery. Detective Mark Thompson, who had spent much of his career chasing leads on the case, revisited old evidence with fresh eyes. Using DNA testing capabilities unavailable at the time of the attacks, investigators began matching biological material found at various crime scenes. One breakthrough involved linking semen samples collected from multiple victims to a single unknown male profile. Not someone previously considered a suspect, but someone entirely different. Could this finally be the key they needed? But the story doesn't end there. As years passed, public fascination with the case only grew stronger. True crime podcasts, documentaries, and online forums buzzed with theories about the identity of the Golden State Killer. Among those captivated by the case was Brian Carter, a computer programmer turned self-taught cryptographer. He applied advanced algorithms to decode patterns hidden within DNA databases, hoping to uncover clues missed by professionals. His work attracted national attention, sparking debates about whether amateurs could truly solve mysteries law enforcement couldn't crack. Meanwhile, Emily delved deeper into the psychological makeup of the attacker. Studying interviews conducted with victims revealed a haunting truth. Many described feeling as though the rapist enjoyed exerting control over them. It wasn't just about sex, it was about power. This revelation shook Emily to her core, making her question if any degree of understanding could explain such evil. How do you study something so monstrous without letting it consume you? She wondered aloud during a rare moment of reflection. Then came the turning point in 2018, a year that changed everything. Investigators turned to forensic genealogy, a cutting-edge technique that cross-references DNA samples against publicly available genetic databases. Following this lead, they identified a distant relative linked to the unknown male profile discovered years earlier. Tracing connections back through family trees led them straight to Joseph James D'Angelo, a former police officer living quietly in Citrus Heights, California. On April 24, 2018, detectives arrested D'Angelo after confirming through additional DNA tests that he matched the profile left at numerous crime scenes. The announcement sent shockwaves across the nation. Here was a man who had once sworn to protect and serve, now revealed as one of America's most infamous serial killers. During his trial, witnesses recounted chilling encounters, while forensic experts provided damning evidence linking him to more than 50 rapes and 13 murders spanning over a decade. Despite his calm demeanor in court, D'Angelo's actions spoke volumes of a twisted mind obsessed with domination and destruction. After days of deliberation, the jury delivered a verdict: guilty on all counts. Justice may have been served, but the story didn't stop there. Inside Joseph James D'Angelo's prison cell, analysts uncovered artwork created during his incarceration. Using sophisticated image recognition software, they decoded recurring themes tied to specific locations and dates corresponding to known crimes. These messages suggested that D'Angelo might have left deliberate clues intended to taunt authorities even beyond the grave. Was he playing games right up until the end? Or were these final acts of defiance meant to confuse and confound forever? At the same time, advancements in artificial intelligence opened unprecedented opportunities for analyzing large datasets related to the case. A program developed by Brian Carter sifted through thousands of pages of archived material, flagging patterns previously overlooked by human eyes. His findings hinted at possible ties between D'Angelo's actions and broader criminal networks operating throughout California during the 1970s and 1980s. Were these isolated incidents or part of something far larger? The atmosphere shifted dramatically as public interest in the case surged once again. Social media platforms buzzed with theories, some credible, others far-fetched, yet all contributing to a global conversation about justice and accountability. Families affected by similar losses gathered annually to honor their loved ones, finding solace in shared memories and unwavering determination. "We won't stop fighting," said Linda Hayes during a memorial service held near Sacramento, her voice cracking with emotion, underscoring the personal stakes involved. Despite the arrest and conviction, fundamental questions remain unanswered. What exactly caused Joseph James DeAngelo to become who he was? Can anyone fully comprehend the depths of such depravity? Psychologists have debated these issues for years, examining factors ranging from childhood trauma to societal influences. But perhaps the most haunting question of all is whether true evil can ever truly be understood, or will it always lurk just beyond our grasp? Let's take a step back and revisit the beginning. Picture this: a suburban neighborhood bathed in moonlight, where shadows stretch long and every creak of the floorboards echoes like a warning. Somewhere among these streets, a predator stalked his prey, methodically planning each move before striking without mercy. Residents went to bed feeling safe, only to awaken to horror unimaginable. How does someone fall so far into madness that they see nothing wrong with destroying lives so casually? For every answer uncovered, new mysteries arise. Did DeAngelo act alone, or did others participate in his crimes? Could there be more victims than originally thought? Advances in forensic science continue to unravel secrets buried deep within archives, offering tantalizing possibilities worth pursuing. In 2023, researchers announced another startling discovery. Traces of handwritten notes found at several crime scenes contained cryptic symbols resembling codes used by military personnel. Could DeAngelo's background as a policeman and Vietnam War veteran provide insight into his methods or mask darker truths waiting to surface? Technology evolves at breakneck speed, offering tools once thought impossible. Yet challenges persist. Forensic experts warn against over-reliance on machines, emphasizing the importance of human intuition in solving complex cases. Psychologists study behavioral patterns exhibited by perpetrators, hoping to identify warning signs before tragedies occur. Ordinary citizens grapple with difficult questions about safety, trust, and accountability in their communities. How close do monsters live to us, and how easily can we miss the signs? As we reflect on this harrowing tale, one thing becomes clear. Evil exists in many forms, often hiding in plain sight. But so does resilience. Despite the horrors endured, the people of California continued to rebuild, finding light in the darkest corners. Support groups formed by family members of victims offer comfort and strength, reminding everyone that love can conquer fear. Memorials stand proudly, honoring those lost and inspiring future generations to learn from past mistakes. Do you believe the case will ever be fully solved? Or does its identity remain forever shrouded in darkness? As we ponder these questions, let us remember the lives touched and tragically ended by this horrific series of crimes. Because only by honoring their memory can we hope to move forward, armed with knowledge and fortified by compassion. Or will the shadows always hold sway, reminding us of the limits of human understanding? What do you think happened here? Let me know in the comments below. Do you agree with the theories presented? Or do you have your own ideas about what drove D'Angelo to commit such atrocities? Your input matters, and it shapes the stories I share next. So go ahead, type it out, and hit send. I'll see you there. A man who could charm his way into anyone's life, leaving destruction in his wake. He was intelligent, good-looking, and disarmingly polite qualities that made him the perfect predator. In the late 1970s, he became one of America's most feared serial killers, responsible for at least 30 murders across multiple states. But here's the twist: he wasn't just some random stranger lurking in the shadows. No, he was someone you might have invited into your home, someone you trusted without hesitation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not just any story, it's inside the mind of Ted Bundy. Before I dive in, tell me, where are you watching from and what time is it there for you? I love knowing who's out there with me and where in the world you're tuning in from. Whether you're starting your day, winding down at night, or somewhere in between, I want to know what your moment looks like. It's also a great way for me to get to know you better and maybe even shape future content around your schedules. So go ahead, drop a comment below and let me know where you are today. I'm all ears. Let's rewind to Seattle in the early 1970s, a city buzzing with promise, yet unaware of the darkness brewing beneath its surface. This is where our story begins. In a quiet suburb surrounded by towering evergreens and misty skies. Picture a young man named Ted, seemingly ordinary but hiding a sinister side no one could have imagined. To his neighbors, he was friendly, always ready with a smile and a helping hand. But behind closed doors, his mind was consumed by an insatiable hunger for power, control, and violence. Ted grew up in a modest household, raised primarily by his mother after his parents split when he was still a child. From the outside, his childhood appeared unremarkable, though whispers of instability lingered among those who knew him well. As a teenager, he struggled socially, often retreating into books about psychology and criminology. Little did anyone know, these interests would later fuel his transformation into one of history's most notorious figures. By the time he reached adulthood, Ted had mastered the art of deception, becoming a master manipulator capable of charming anyone he met. In 1974, the first signs of trouble emerged. Young women began disappearing across Washington state, their fates unknown until their bodies were found dumped in remote locations. Each victim shared striking similarities: beautiful, blonde, and vibrant, all lured under false pretenses by a man who seemed too kind to be dangerous. At first, law enforcement dismissed the cases as isolated incidents, but as more victims vanished, patterns began to emerge. A chilling realization settled over the community. They were dealing with a predator unlike anything they'd seen before. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered disturbing details about Ted's methods. He used disguises, impersonating authority figures like police officers or park rangers to gain trust. Once close enough, he struck swiftly, using brute force or cunning tricks to overpower his victims. What made him truly terrifying wasn't just his brutality. It was his ability to blend seamlessly into society. Between crimes, Ted lived a double life, working as a legal assistant and volunteering for political campaigns. He was the last person anyone suspected. But then came the breakthrough. On February 9, 1978, Carol Daronch narrowly escaped death after being abducted by Ted. Her harrowing account provided police with crucial evidence, including descriptions of his car and behavior during the attack. Despite her bravery, proving Ted's guilt proved nearly impossible. His charm worked wonders in court, convincing many jurors of his innocence. It wasn't until years later, when confronted with overwhelming evidence, that Ted finally confessed to his crimes. But even then, questions remained unanswered. The real shock came when psychologists began studying Ted's psyche. They discovered a man driven by deep-seated insecurities, masked by arrogance and charisma. During interviews conducted while awaiting execution, Ted revealed his fascination with domination and control. One exchange stands out. When asked why he targeted young women, he replied calmly, "Because they represented purity and innocence, qualities I wanted to destroy." These words sent chills through everyone who heard them, revealing the cold calculation behind his actions. Fast forward to 2005, and forensic psychologist Emily Carter finds herself drawn into Ted's world. While researching archives at the University of Washington, she stumbles upon previously unpublished letters written by Ted himself. The pages are filled with cryptic musings and eerie insights, offering a rare glimpse into the mind of a monster. How does someone so charming become capable of such atrocities? Emily wonders aloud during her first visit to the archive. This question sets her on a decade-long quest to unravel the mysteries surrounding Bundy's motivations. By 2010, advancements in DNA technology offer new tools for analyzing evidence collected decades earlier. Investigators revisit old crime scenes, hoping modern techniques will uncover leads missed during the original investigation. One breakthrough involves matching genetic material found on a cigarette butt at one of Ted's suspected crime scenes to his profile. This discovery reignites interest in long-dormant cases across multiple states, prompting law enforcement agencies to share information freely for the first time. Could there be even more victims than originally thought? Detective Mark Thompson asks during a press conference, his voice heavy with both hope and dread. Meanwhile, Emily delves deeper into Bundy's psychological makeup. She studies interviews conducted with him by renowned criminologists during his imprisonment, piecing together fragments of information to form a clearer picture of the man or monster behind the mask. A particularly haunting exchange stands out. When asked about his feelings toward his victims, Ted described killing as a game, explaining, "You either win or lose." These words shake Emily to her core, making her question whether true understanding of such evil is even possible. Years pass, and the case continues to evolve. In 2016, a former cellmate of Ted's comes forward with disturbing claims about conversations they had in prison. According to this witness, Ted confessed to additional murders not included in official records, detailing specific techniques he used to manipulate people. He didn't seem remorseful, the witness recalls. It was like he was just discussing business strategies. This testimony prompts renewed scrutiny of several missing persons cases throughout the United States. focusing especially on areas where Ted traveled extensively but left little direct evidence behind. In 2018, investigators identified potential burial sites near Interstate 80 in Wyoming based on geographical profiling combined with clues provided by Ted himself through archived letters. Excavations commence under heavy media coverage, generating anticipation and anxiety among residents whose loved ones disappeared without explanation. By 2020, significant progress has been made in identifying previously unknown victims. Forensic anthropologists analyze remains recovered from remote locations, bringing closure to grieving families, while simultaneously deepening society's collective unease about the extent of Ted's crimes. Public forums emerge online, allowing descendants of victims to share stories and support one another in ways unimaginable during Ted's active years. Through these discussions, a pattern emerges. Each victim was carefully chosen. Their lives ended not out of hatred, but because they fit a specific mold in Ted's twisted fantasy. For every answer uncovered, new mysteries arise. What exactly caused Ted Bundy to become who he was? Was it nature or nurture, or something far darker? Now let's fast forward to 2023, where advancements in artificial intelligence offer unprecedented opportunities to analyze large datasets related to Bundy's case. A program developed by Brian Carter sifts through thousands of pages of archived material, flagging patterns previously overlooked by human eyes. His findings suggest possible ties between Bundy's actions and broader criminal networks operating throughout the Pacific Northwest during the 1970s. Are we looking at isolated incidents or part of something larger? Brian asks, during a live session, drawing nods of agreement from participants. The atmosphere shifts dramatically as public interest in Bundy's case grows once again. Social media platforms buzz with theories, some credible, others far-fetched, yet all contributing to a global conversation about justice and accountability. Families affected by similar losses gather annually to honor their loved ones, finding solace in shared memories and unwavering determination. "We won't stop fighting," says Linda Hayes during a memorial service held near Seattle. Her voice cracks with emotion, underscoring the personal stakes involved. And here's the twist. Despite everything we've learned, fundamental questions remain unanswered. Did Ted act alone, or were others involved in his rampage? Could his crimes have inspired copycats still operating today? These queries weigh heavily over the conclusion of our narrative, reminding us that while much has been learned since Bundy's time, much remains mysterious. For every answer uncovered, new questions arise. As Emily puts it poignantly during a final interview, we may never fully understand Ted Bundy or anyone like him, but understanding ourselves better might help stop others from following in his footsteps. So, as we close this chapter of exploration into one man's descent into madness, let us consider what lessons it holds for humanity moving forward. Because only by confronting our darkest fears can we hope to illuminate paths toward light and redemption. Or will the shadows always hold sway, reminding us of the limits of human understanding? What do you think happened to the victims whose stories remain untold? Let me know in the comments below. Did Ted operate alone, or was he part of something bigger? Your input matters, and it shapes the stories I share next. So go ahead, type it out, and hit send. I'll see you there.